Hello friends, welcome to my AML series. And in our last video, we understood the concept of the reporting entities. And in today's video, I am going to talk about the concept of suspicious transactions with the help of examples. Please keep your paper and pen ready because you may need it during the session. So let us coming back to the definition and the concept of suspicious transactions. As these are two words, one is the suspicious and other is the transaction. And suspicious means something which is doubtful, something which is not natural, something which is raising a concern. And what is the meaning of transaction? The meaning of transaction is any activity, any movement, any action. So if I combine these two words, it means when there is some movement or activity happens which is not otherwise natural, which raises doubts, are suspicious transactions. So let me tell you with the help of two examples to also clarify on one misconception. And example number one is, let us suppose someone is your neighbor who is not very financially sound and who is always cribbing about the inflations, who is always cribbing about how to fulfill the basic daily needs in today's time. But all of a sudden, these people, the same neighbor, buy a very costly luxury car. Does this particular transaction seems to be natural to you? Does this particular transaction raises doubts to you? Okay, let us now move to the second example. And in this example, let us suppose you have a very good friend with whom you are having a friendship for the last, let us say, a decade or so, and you always share everything with a particular person, whether good things happening in your life or a bad thing happening. But all of a sudden, this particular friend of yours stopped talking with you. And this friend is also not giving you an option to find out what is wrong in your relationship with him or her. Does it seem natural to you? Does this particular transaction or the event seems to be natural to you? So in both the examples, whether buying a luxury car or whether a stop in your discussions or the conversation with your best friend, both these transactions are not natural. But what was the misconception which I was talking about? The misconception was, or most of the people believes that the suspicious transaction always happens in cash. But it is not the case. Suspicious transactions may or may not happen in cash. So that is why I have given you these two simple transactions to make you understand. Now let us understand suspicious transactions from the point of view of our reporting entities. I am going to give you certain set of examples to make you understand. So example number one, Mrs. X, she is working in a private organization. She is at a, let us say, at a managerial post. And as a manager in the private organization, she gets her salary on a monthly basis. And her salary is always remain the fixed, except during the bonus time or during the increment time. It is natural, quite normal. But all of a sudden, her account is filled up with certain heavy cash amounts, which has nothing to do with the salary, nothing to do with the bonus, and even nothing to do with the sale transaction which she has conducted. But her account is having certain heavy cash amount credited. Does it seem natural to you? Does this particular transaction of receiving heavy cash amount nothing to be connected with the salary or the amount which she is getting from the private organization? Does this raises doubts to you? Let us now move to the second example. There is an organization. This particular organization deals in the export business. And for the last so many years, this particular organization export is limited to certain countries. Quite natural, quite normal. So most of the transaction which this particular organization is doing belongs to these countries only. But all of a sudden, this particular organization has some transactions with a different country where this organization does not have any business connection or any business reason, but still some transactions, heavy transactions are happening. Does it seems natural to you? Does it raise doubts to you? Okay, let us now move to the third example. There is an organization. This particular organization wants to open a bank account. And as all of us know, for opening the bank account, you need to submit certain set of documents which we call as a KYC documents. Most of the time, these documents are ID proof, address proof, ITR and similar documents. So same was the case with this organization. When they wanted to open bank account, bank asked them to submit these documents. But there is some reason. This organization is quite resistant in submitting these basic documents. They don't want to give this document, whatever the case may be. Even if they don't want, even they are not saying that if okay, let us open my bank account with these set of example. They are even saying, okay, if you want all these documents, I am not interested. Does it seems natural to you? Does it seems quite normal happening in today's world where the organizations are not comfortable in giving the basic KYC documents? Okay, let us now move to the another example. In this particular example, there is a company whose most of the transactions, or I will say the 95% of the transactions are happening in via banking channels, except for the few petty transactions like buying a stationery or similar transactions are happening in cash, but otherwise the organization conducts all its transactions via banking channel. But while reviewing the documents, while going through the transaction, somebody notices that there are very heavy transactions which are happening in cash for which no bank is involved, and there is no proper evidence or the documents of these particular transaction. Does it seems doubtful to you? Okay, let us now move to the another example. There is a company who has, let us say, 7 or 8 branches in the country, and this company is not doing any good amount of business, but there is one thing which is common. One person or one employee of this company deposit cash in one of its branch. Let us say this particular branch is in Bangalore in India, and the other particular branches, let us say, is in Punjab. What is happening in this organization? Certain amount is getting deposited in the Karnataka or the Bangalore branch, and on the very same day the employee who is based in the Punjab office withdraws the same amount of the cash. No reason for that. There is nothing connected. Doesn't seem to be any business reason, because there are so many banking channels available in today's time. Why one employee will deposit a cash? There may be a reason behind it, or there may not be a reason behind it. So does it seems natural to you? Does it resist out to you? Now let us move to the another example which is generally happening in the insurance sectors. Somebody buys a policy and he or she pays the first premium, and he or she pays the premium in cash. And as all of us know, the insurance company gives you 15 days free look period. This particular individual buys policy, pays the premium in cash, and then cancel the policy. It can be natural, but if this transaction is happening most of the time with no logical reason of cancellation, but do you know why this is raising a doubt? Because this particular individual pays premium in cash and cancel the policy. So while cancelling the policy, he gets his money back into the bank account. So the amount which is paid in cash, what he gets in return? In his bank account. It may be natural, but if this transaction is repeating, it's not. So these are few set of examples which as a reporting entity, which as a person who are working in the reporting entity, keep an eye open for that. But I just want to tell you one very interesting fact about the suspicious transaction. These transactions are not as simple as it seems to be. These transactions are becoming complicated as the world is changing, as the world is being now globalized. So being a person working in the reporting entities, please ensure to read the environment to understand how these money launderer can use your platform for conversion of their dirty money or a black money into white money. I have tried my best to make you understand with the help of examples what are these suspicious transactions. I have recently conducted an online training for one of the financial sector, and when we started talking about examples of such natures, it was quite surprising. Sometimes it happens that the transaction which seems natural at the very first stage, but when you go into deep of that particular transaction, you have some doubts. The transaction itself gives you some red flags around it. So keep an eye on those red flags. And another very important point from the suspicious transaction is time has gone where you can review the transaction on the Excel sheets. Your system should be updated. You should have all the real-time based system to ensure that the suspicious transactions are being found on timely basis, on the real-time basis, before it becomes too late. Because as a reporting entity, you have a responsibility to report to the FIU on a very frequent, or I will say on certain set of timelines, which I am going to talk about in my next video. But please keep yourself updated on the nature of suspicious transactions. And if you need some help, if you need further training on the complicated set of cases which you may be facing, please drop a message to me and I am going to help you on that. So my particular video of today was just to give you an understanding of the suspicious transaction. But if you think there are certain more examples which you want to understand in more detail, let me know. I am going to help you for that matter for sure. Till that time, keep yourself positive and keep watching my videos. And last thing, if you have not subscribed my channel till now, please do that. In my next video, I am going to talk about what happens once reporting entity submits suspicious transaction report to FIU. So keep watching. Thank you again.